Okay, so now we're building the piece, the first step. I start by creating a new layer, a gel layer. I do that because it's easy to delete it if I'm dissatisfied or if I just want to move it around a bit. The tools I'm using right now is Tinting Basic Round. It's the one tool I use the most. This and the Blender Round of the same category, in tinting category. And so what I'm doing now is just sketching. I'm just trying to find something interesting. The only thing I planned for, the only thing I decided on was to make basically a face, looking straight at you, the viewer. So a forward-facing face and sort of like something creepy, something of a monster, and I'm just trying to find something that's interesting. I'm just putting lines on, feeling some shapes, trying to see what's interesting, and to try to find an expression that I can connect with. I'm still using just the basic round. This process is sped up by 100%, so it's twice as fast. Usually I don't go too strong on the pressure. In the left corner there's you have the size of the brush and the strength or the pressure. Now I only use about 8% at this point. I seldom go over 12, but that depends on how you calibrate your stylus, your tablet. Yeah, now I'm starting to build a little weird flappy stuff on the sides. I haven't decided whether they're going to be ears or something else. I'm just still finding interesting details and lines. I'm working on the silhouette of the character to make that interesting, because that's the shape that you first see. So the really fine details comes much later. So I'm trying to work on the piece as a whole to see the shapes and expression. Now I chose the blender tool. So what I'm doing now is I'm just smudging out, smoothing out, trying to get some values and some volume. The good thing about the tinting blender tool is that, if you press down on a dark patch or a darker area, and you can pull the paint out, and the harder you press, the more paint you get. And you can drag. You don't need to use the color picker when you do this. Oh, now I sped up the process for because it's just more of the same, the basic round and the tinting blender tool. So it's just two tools that I use. And I'm working black and white until I'm done. So later, like now, I'm gonna add layers and I'm gonna start coloring it. So this now I basically built, most of it. So I know it's not gonna change too much. So now I'm choosing a new layer. It's colorize, and I'm choosing something warmer to put over the black and white stuff, because black drowns out color. I want to get rid of that. And now I also chose a gel layer and a paint bucket to use to get a mid-tone that I can work on top of. Now I'm just fiddling around with different kind of layers, trying to see what happens, and choosing a layer with a difference setting. I think it's called difference. So I'm just trying out different colors and different layers, different kinds of layers, just to see what happens with the picture, if with the painting, if it gives me any sort of ideas, something to go off on. Now I'm just blocking out the background a bit, so not the whole piece becomes brown, orange thingy. Adding some more highlights here, just get a sense of where the light is hitting. Now I think, I'm using the overlay layer. It's good because it doesn't drown out what's underneath layers. You can color it without losing anything underneath. So the overlay or colorized layer is good for this. And I use the soft airbrush because it has this soft effect. So it's a bit more subtle on coloring. I like the fleshy tones here. I like pink ears, and I like pink noses for some reason, or red noses. Most of my characters look like drunks. And I'm trying out, just to give it the background some more contrast, I'm adding some shades. But this is on a gel layer. I have no plan for this. I'm just experimenting. Different layers, just to see what it looks like. If it gives me any sort of inspiration or some sort of idea of what to do next, because by doing that you get lots of happy accidents that will lead you to new results. Now I'm dropping all the layers, merging everything down, and I'm starting to just blend everything into, like blending the actual character and its outlines into the background. Trying some different tools here just to see what the effect is. This is oils and a real fan short. It doesn't do quite what I want, so I tried a different one here, just experimenting, but oh shit, that didn't work either, and no. Okay, so this is a bit later. Now I'm just blending everything again, now that everything is on one layer. Here I'm trying out some different stuff. Yeah, so now that's the polishing section here. This is where I go into details to I zoom in and I really start polishing the fine details of the piece. Yeah, those eyes. The eyes are, if you can make them not realistic but just alive somehow, that way you will connect. If you feel like there's life behind those eyes, then there's a connection between you and the painting. I kind of like these eyes are very separate, like they're far apart more than normal, so it gives it a bit more of an alien or creature-like look to begin with. but also they're kind of big. They look kind of like almost like a deer's eyes or something. So they look sort of, innocent or cute. Like a child's eyes. Like big childish eyes are typical way of expressing innocence. So just to add that contrast, you have this monster, but he has like childish eyes, a bit childish at least. Yeah, here I'm using a separate layer, default layer now, just to color the eyes, and I use a soft airbrush again. Then I drop it down and I use the blender tool, tinting blender tool, to just smoothen it out. And yeah, just more of the same. Now I'm using the burn tool. It's really, really good to enhance certain patches, certain areas, certain lines, just to, you just increase the intensity and the darkness of the color. So you don't need to use, say, like black to make a deeper or harder line. You can just use this tool without losing the actual color. Picks up on the underlying color, intensifies it. And then of course I take the blender tool to smoothen everything out again. I'm just using the burn tool to add some more wrinkles and some more lines now. And I'm just blending everything again with the same blending tool that I've been using all along. Now speeding up the process again here. Just more highlights, blending. Now I'm smoothing out the background even more. Creating a new layer, a gel layer. And I'm using the tinting basic round again. And just adding some small thin hairs. If they're too strong, I can just lower the opacity of the layer. I just want them to be a bit fuzzy, like he's balding or something. Just a few hairs. Here I'm adding some to his neck. I'm trying oils, real fan short brush. I'm having this on the overlay layer just to see what effect it has. I'm adding some more hairs. So with a single brush stroke, with this brush, you can add lots of lines, small lines. You can use the feature setting to increase the distance between each line. I'm sorry if that's confusing to you, but it's just that every brush has, you can use the feature setting to decide how thick the brush is. I'm just adding some hairs here and there with the oil brush. And I'm fiddling around with the layer setting. But yeah, I think I'm gonna stay with the overlay version. I'm gonna wait with dropping that because I want to blend what's underneath. And I'm using the palette knife just to dissolve the bit, to make it the piece, just to make it feel like it's merging, or to make it a bit rough like this, because I want it to still look like a painting. I don't want it to look Photoshop perfect, polished. The organic feel of classical painting is what I'm trying to get in there. Oh, now I'm using the broad wheel airbrush, and I have a default layer, and I'm just adding some little patches of spray here just to get some texture, spraying both dark patches and lighter patches. It's very subtle though, it's very difficult for you to see. But it makes a difference, especially when up close. Yeah. So this is the broad wheel airbrush on an overlay layer. This kind of texture just makes it feel a little bit more organic and more alive. I mean, you have small imperfections. It might be some pores or whatever, you know, but it just adds to that feeling. Yeah, so now I'm just polishing away again with basic round and switching back to different layers, and yeah. So this is the last step. When I've actually finished the piece, I take it into Photoshop, and you can probably do this in Corel Painter too, but I want to I use Photoshop for this because it's just easier. Then I go into the color balancing, and I just try different settings on the midtones, highlights, and shadows, just to see what it does to the picture, because you can get like quite dramatic effects, can change the picture, the painting completely. And you know, I like to play around with this just to see what happens. Usually it does a lot. If your color scheme is quite flat already, then this can help you a lot. After that, I usually go into selective color. Here you can choose a specific color and change it. So I can, right now I'm changing, like I'm affecting all the reds. You know, I can make it more orange or more purple. I can make it darker and I can make it brighter. Just the red, warm patches of this painting. And this I go down and I do for, you know, every single color. I mean, there's your yellows, and you have your greens and blues, and then you have your black, neutrals, and whites. Just adjusting the sliders just to see what happens. And when I'm done with that, I'm just gonna save it as a final image. And that's what you'll see. So this was my first tutorial. I didn't want to bore you too much. I just wanted you to have an insight into the process, and that's why it's kind of sped up. I mean, it's 3 hours of painting crammed into 20 minutes. So if there are any confusion or if you have any questions, just ask me, because I'm not very good at narrating my videos, and particularly not at this speed. And it's the first time, so I hope you can get some satisfaction out of this video anyways, or at least be inspired. Wow. Yeah. Also, if anyone is interested, I can send you all the video files for this, and they are in real time if you want to see exactly what I'm doing. Yeah, this is the final piece, the way it ended up looking. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you.